Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are taking you on quite a journey, a time journey, really.
Millions of years.
Yeah, exactly. Millions of years. We're looking at the history of human transformation.
Starting right from when our ancestors first stood up.
That's the moment. And maybe the best place to picture this is Ethiopia, 1974.
Wow, Lucy.
Lucy, exactly. Found there an adult female Australopithecus.
About 3.2 million years old.
And they found, what, 40% of her skeleton? Which is amazing for something that old.
Incredible. She really gives us a window.
A window into the deep past, yeah. But she's also like the foundation for everything that came after, right? For human history.
Absolutely. She's a key piece of the puzzle.
So our mission today, using the sources you've pulled together, is to kind of explore this staggering transformation.
Trace the line.
Trace the line, yeah. From those early ancestors, maybe still partly in the trees.
Right up to settled societies, agriculture, the whole deal.
We're trying to distill millions of years down to the really critical points.
And, what's fascinating here is this journey, it's not just one straight line. It's kind of like three stories tangled together.
Okay, 3 stories.
Yeah. You've got the biological evolution, the physical changes in our bodies.
How we became us.
Exactly. Then there's the huge stretch of the Paleolithic Age, the Stone Age.
Defined by tools and, well, survival?
And then the big one, that single shift that changed our whole relationship with the planet.
A Neolithic revolution.
That's it.
Yeah.
So we'll follow that timeline, look at the species, the tech they developed.
Okay, so thinking about how quickly things changed, the sources had a great analogy.
The technology one.
Yeah, like how a smartphone evolved from the telegraph. It's a long path, but you can trace it.
Right. And similarly, we trace our own lineage back to species like Lucy, Australopithecus.
Living in eastern and southern Africa, what, 2.5 to 4 million years ago?
Somewhere in that range, yeah.
Yeah.
And they were walking upright, at least partly.
And probably using some basic tools.
Likely. But, the gap between them and us is still pretty huge.
They still had features for climbing trees.
Right. And their brains. Tiny compared to ours. Maybe a third of the size.
So the real shift, where our Homo story starts, is later.
Yeah, around 2 or 3 million years ago, with the emergence of the Homo genus itself.
Okay, so species like Homo habilis, the handyman.
Characterized by a slightly larger brain, smaller teeth, but still quite small overall. Long arms.
Only 3 or 4 feet tall.
Exactly. But then comes the real game changer, the one who really committed to living on the ground.
Homo erectus.
Homo erectus, upright man. Shows up around 2 million years ago, living entirely on 2 feet.
And just that simple thing, walking upright all the time, had massive consequences.
It really did. The sources emphasize this. Standing up actually pulled the digestive organs down.
Squash them into a smaller space.
Basically, yeah. Less room, less efficient for digesting really tough fibrous plants.
Ah. Okay, so that's the aha moment. They couldn't just eat leaves all day.
Not efficiently.
Ah.
So their diet had to change. They needed higher quality food.
Easier to digest things, like nuts, fruits.
Nuts, fruits, honey, yeah.
Mm.
And crucially, meat. More meat.
And that better fuel, plus having hands free for tools.
Exactly. Free hands mean better tools, more dexterity over time.
Which lets you get even better food.
It's a feedback loop. Better food, bigger brain potential, bigger brain, better tools, better food.
And that success is what lets Homo erectus spread out.
That's the idea. They become the first real-world travelers.
Yeah.
Starting maybe 1.8, 1.5 million years ago, they move out of Africa.
Where did they go?
Into the Near East, parts of Europe, across Asia. A huge expansion.
Why? Just following food. Climate change.
Probably a mix of things. Climate shifts, following animal herds, maybe just population pressure.
And this migration leads to different human species evolving in different places.
That's right. You get diversification, like the Neanderthals evolving in Europe and Western Asia, and eventually us, Homo sapiens, emerging in Africa.
What happened to all those other human species? Like the Neanderthals, it's still a bit of a mystery, isn't it?
It is, partially. The old idea was simple replacement Homo sapiens just outcompeted everyone else.
But the DNA tells a different story now.
A much more interesting one, yeah. We now know that people with European or Middle Eastern ancestry carry like 1 to 4% Neanderthal DNA.
So we didn't just replace them, we met them.
We definitely met them. And apparently interbreeding between Homo sapiens and other groups like Neanderthals and Denisovans in Asia was actually pretty common before those other groups eventually declined.
Okay, so the bodies are changing, adapting, migrating. What
Mhm.
about the tools they were making? This takes us into the Paleolithic, right?
The Old Stone Age, yeah,
Uh-huh.
a vast period lasting until maybe 12,000 years ago, and it's really defined by stone tool technology.
And those tools changed over time, too, showing, like, smarter thinking.
Absolutely. You can see the evolution right there in the
Right.
stones. It starts with the older one tools.
Which were?
Really simple. Basically just river cobbles, smashed to get a sharp edge. Crude choppers, scrapers. Effective, but basic.
Okay. How long did those last?
Until about 1.7 million years ago. Then you see a big jump. The Acheulean tradition.
Ah, those are the teardrop-shaped ones, right? The hand axes.
Exactly. Much more symmetrical, carefully shaped by chipping away flakes from a core stone. Takes planning, skill.
Real craftsmanship, even back then.
Definitely. But then things get even more refined, more efficient. Around 250,000 years ago, we get Mysterian tools.
Mysterian. How were they different?
The focus shifts. Instead of just shaping the core stone, they started realizing the potential of the sharp flakes they were chipping off.
Ah, so they used the flakes themselves.
Precisely. They developed techniques to strike off flakes of a desired shape and size. These could be used as knives or attached to shafts to make spears.
Yeah.
Much more specialized.
From brute force chopping to, like, precision cutting?
It reflects a different way of thinking. More planning, more foresight.
And it wasn't just stone, right? What other big technologies came along? Fire.
Fire was absolutely fundamental. Clear evidence for control of fire by at least 125,000 years ago, maybe earlier.
Warmth. Protection from predators.
Sure, but also cooking. We often forget how huge cooking was.
Why? Just better taste.
More than that. Cooking essentially pre-digests food. It breaks down tough fibers, kills pathogens, makes nutrients much easier for our bodies to absorb.
So, more energy available for less digestive effort.
Exactly. More calories unlocked, especially for fueling that energy-hungry brain.
Okay, that makes sense. And then the ultimate advantage, language.
Language. The sources suggest that by around 100,000 years ago, modern humans had the capacity for complex, symbolic language. Not just grunts, but, grammar, abstract concepts.
Being able to talk about things that aren't right in front of you. Past, future, ideas.
Exactly. The ability to coordinate complex hunts, share detailed knowledge about plants or dangers, pass traditions down, it's an exponential advantage.
No other animal could cooperate or plan on that scale?
Nothing comes close. It really sets Homo sapiens apart. So if you picture the society that goes with these tools and this growing brain power, what did it look like?
Small groups, right? Always moving.
Typically, yeah. Hunter-gatherer bands were usually small, maybe 15 to 40 people.
Why so small?
Resources were scarce. You couldn't support a large, dense population just by foraging and hunting in one area for long. You had to keep moving.
And that lifestyle, moving all the time, not really owning much, that influenced their social structure?
Absolutely. It fostered a kind of necessary egalitarianism. You couldn't really accumulate wealth or permanent property.
Everyone had to pull their weight.
Pretty much. There was likely a division of labor. Maybe women focused more on gathering plants, men on hunting.
Yeah.
But everyone's contribution was vital for the group's survival. Hierarchies just weren't practical.
They had to be incredibly adaptable, too, especially during the ice ages.
Immensely adaptable. Lower sea levels during glacial periods opened up land bridges, allowing migrations into new continents like the Americas.
But surviving those cold climates,
Yeah.
that took some serious innovation.
It really did. By 30,000 years ago, we see the invention of bone and ivory sewing needles.
Needles, so they could make fitted clothing.
Exactly. Not just draping skins, but tailoring hides together to make warm, layered garments that trapped body heat.
Like Ötzi the Iceman, found in the Alps.
Perfect example. Ötzi, from about 5,300 years ago, but reflecting older traditions, he had this complex coat, leggings, woven grass shoes, stuffed with moss for insulation.
Totally blows away the stereotypical caveman image.
Completely. This was sophisticated technology born from the necessity of surviving extreme cold.
And they left behind more than just tools and clothes. They left art.
Yes, compelling evidence of belief systems and symbolic thought. You have things like the Venus figurines.
Small statues, often female figures, like the Venus of Whole Fells.
That's a famous one, about 40,000 years old. Small, portable carvings, often with exaggerated breasts, hips, genitalia.
Often interpreted as fertility symbols, important for groups focused on survival and having children.
That's the prevailing theory, yes.
Yeah.
Seems plausible. Symbols of life, reproduction, maybe?
And then there are the really famous ones, the cave paintings, Altamira in Spain, Lascaux in France.
Incredible stuff. Detailed paintings of bison, horses, deer, often deep inside caves in total darkness.
Places that were hard to get to.
Exactly. Which suggests they weren't just decoration. Why go to all that trouble paint by flickering torchlight deep underground?
So scholars think they had a religious purpose.
That's the conclusion. Some kind of ritual significance, maybe related to hunting magic or shamanic journeys into the spirit world.
Like animism, believing spirits are in animals, plants, nature.
Something like that seems likely for hunter-gatherer religions, a deep spiritual connection to the world they depended on.
Okay, so we have these sophisticated, adaptable hunter-gatherers. But then, around 12,000 years ago, things changed dramatically.
Everything changes. The end of the last ice age brings warmer, often drier climates in some regions, and some groups start doing something radically new.
They stop just gathering food and start growing it.
Exactly. The Neolithic Revolution kicks off, the beginning of agriculture actively cultivating specific plants, domesticating animals.
A total shift from foraging to farming.
A fundamental transformation of the human relationship with the environment.
And this happened everywhere at once. Or just one place.
That's the fascinating thing. It seems to have happened independently in several different parts of the world around the same time.
Really? Like where?
Well, the Fertile Crescent in the Middle East, with wheat and barley, China, with millet and rice, Mesoamerica, Mexico and Central America, with maize, beans, squash, Sub-Saharan Africa, with sorghum. Different plants in different places.
Wow, so why then? What triggered it? Just the climate change after the Ice Age.
Climate change was likely a major factor. Shifting environments might have put pressure on existing wild resources, making them less reliable.
So people started actively managing the plants they depended on, selecting the best seeds.
Probably. And also domesticating animals. Sheep, goats, pigs, chickens, cattle, llamas for meat, milk, wool, labor. It was a way to create a more predictable food source.
Now, the traditional story is farming starts, people settle down, then they build villages, maybe temples.
Right. Agriculture enables settled life, which enables complexity.
But the sources mention a site that flips that script, right? Göbekli Tepe.
Ah, yes, Göbekli Tepe in Turkey. It's a mind bender. We're talking massive, carved T-shaped stone pillars, arranged in circles, complex megalithic structures.
Built when?
About 11,600 years ago. That's the crucial part.
Why? What happened 11,600 years ago?
Well, that date is about 1,000 years before the earliest solid evidence for large-scale farming and domestication in that specific area.
Wait, so they built this huge, complex ritual site before they were proper farmers?
It certainly looks that way. The monumental building came first.
So if we connect this to the bigger picture, what does that imply?
It raises a huge question. Did the desire to build something permanent, maybe for religious reasons, actually drive the invention of agriculture?
Like, people gathered to build this thing, needed a reliable food source nearby to support the workers in the community.
And that need spurred them to figure out farming. It flips the cause and effect we always assumed. Maybe religion and community came first, and agriculture followed to support it.
That's a fascinating possibility.
It definitely challenges the old narrative. But regardless of which came first, agriculture quickly led to larger, permanent settlements.
Like Çatalhöyük, also in Turkey.
Çatalhöyük is a prime example. A large town, maybe up to 6,000 people, between roughly 7,200 and 6,000 BCE.
And what was life like there?
Really different. They lived in these tightly packed mud brick houses, no streets. You actually entered through a hole in the roof via a ladder.
For defense, maybe.
Probably. And their economy shows that transition phase. They were growing domesticated wheat, barley, lentils.
So farming was established.
Yes, but they were also still hunting wild animals quite a bit. And they had specialized crafts, like making tools from obsidian volcanic glass.
Obsidian was valuable.
Highly valued. It makes incredibly sharp edges. Çatalhöyük seems to have controlled and traded obsidian over long distances. So you see specialization, trade, dense population, all hallmarks of the Neolithic.
So looking at it, the advantages of agriculture seem obvious, right?
On the surface, yes, you can support much larger populations,
You get a more reliable food supply, hopefully surpluses.
which allows for labor specialization. Not everyone has to farm. You can have artisans, potters, weavers, traders, priests.
Sounds like progress. Straightforward progress.
Ah, but the sources paint a much more complex picture. There were significant hidden costs, real trade-offs, especially for the average person.
Okay, like what were the downsides?
Well, first, leisure time basically vanished. Studies suggest hunter-gatherers probably spent around 20 hours a week focused on getting food.
That doesn't sound too bad.
Right. But early farmers, They were likely working 30, 40, maybe more hours a week. Grueling physical labor, clearing land, planting, weeding, harvesting, processing grain.
So more work, less free time. What else?
Health seems to have taken a major hit, surprisingly.
Really? With more food available?
Yeah, but it was often less diverse food. Hunter-gatherers ate a wide variety of plants and animals. Early farmers relied heavily on one or two staple crops, like wheat or rice.
Lots of carbs, maybe not enough vitamins or minerals.
Exactly. Skeletal evidence shows signs of malnutrition, iron deficiency anemia, tooth decay from starchy diets, things less common in hunter-gatherers.
Huh. And living close together wasn't great for health either.
Definitely not. Dense populations living near domesticated animals and their waste.
Huh.
It was a perfect breeding ground for infectious diseases. Epidemics became a new and serious threat.
Okay, so harder work, maybe poorer health.
Yeah.
What about society? Did that change?
Dramatically. Remember that egalitarian nature of hunter-gatherer bands?
Yeah, lack of accumulated wealth kept things fairly equal.
Well, agriculture changed that completely. Food surpluses meant for the first time some families could accumulate wealth.
Wealth in what form? Land? Animals?
Land, livestock, stored grain, tools, things you could own. And crucially, things you could pass down to your children.
Inheritance.
Inheritance. And that cemented social divisions. Wealth started concentrating in fewer hands, leading to social hierarchies. You get elites, commoners, eventually rulers, and ruled. The end of widespread egalitarianism.
Wow. And did this affect men and women differently?
It seems so. While roles were likely always somewhat divided, agriculture often shifted the balance of power.
Oh.
Well, tasks like plowing fields often required significant upper body strength, work that typically fell to men. Women's labor, while still vital, often became more centered on the domestic sphere.
Like grinding grain, weaving textiles, making pottery, raising children within the household.
Exactly. Processing food, household crafts.
Yeah.
This separation tended to give men more authority in the public sphere, in politics, in managing the resources outside the home. It contributed to the rise of patriarchal structures in many societies. Hashtag take tag outro.
It is just an incredible transformation to think about.
Isn't it?
Millions of years taking us from, small-brained Australopithecus, maybe just trying to survive day to day,
Relying mostly on instinct, adapting physically.
to Homo sapiens building monumental structures before they even farmed, creating complex social hierarchies, specialized jobs. We totally reshaped our world.
We really did. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the sources bring up a really provocative idea towards the end.
Oh, yeah. What's that?
The concept of human domestication.
Human domestication. We domesticated plants and animals, not ourselves.
Well, think about it. To make agriculture work, especially large-scale grain agriculture, humans had to change their behavior.
How so?
They had to become much more settled, obviously. More cooperative, perhaps more docile, willing to accept routine, authority, and the sheer, hard, repetitive labor involved.
Huh. You mean willing to do all that back-breaking work year after year?
Tilling, planting, weeding, protecting the crops, harvesting, storing, endless hours.
For the benefit of the wheat or the rice?
Exactly. The sources point out that in many ways the plants benefited enormously. Their populations exploded across the globe thanks to human effort.
We put in all the work, they reaped the evolutionary rewards, in a sense.
You could see it that way. Which leads to the final thought, the really provocative question the sources leave us with.
Go on.
We always assume that we domesticated the grain. We bent nature to our will.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the standard story.
But given the costs, the labor, the health impacts, the loss of freedom, the complete restructuring of society required to keep those crops thriving, did the grain actually domesticate us?